Hi everyone. I haven't shared why I even started using Young Living products in a long time, so I thought I would just share some of my heart, my journey, the process, and just what it has looked like. So a couple years ago, very much for me, the business and the lifestyle were in one because I'm always in my mind thinking of like ways to multitask and multiply my efforts. And so if I'm, going thrift store shopping and I find something, this literally just happened, find something that is, $16 that I can find on the internet for $400, I'm going to want to market that. I want to make use of my time and just multiply my efforts. So in that mentality, that entrepreneurial just thought process, I wanted to, I knew that if I was going to start using a product I knew I would love and I knew that I would benefit, my family would benefit. I just had really strong confirmation, which I'll explain. I knew I would want to share about it. I just knew that's how it works. I love helping people. I love deals and hacks and tips, and it's part of my personality. I knew that it wasn't a matter of selling or not. I knew that if I had an opportunity to share something that I knew would benefit someone in my life, whatever that might seem risky or with, doubt of how they might take it or things like that, I knew I, one, would never burn bridges with relationships, but two, is I knew that I just saw this ripple effect of if I am going, which, sorry, this is all over the place, but it'll kind of piece itself together, of that I knew if I was pursuing health for my own life, it was also going to affect people around me, because that's just how it works. So I was like, well, yeah, I want to do a business. And I love business. I love all the pieces of that and all the marketing, all the growth, all the connecting people and empowering people to get their own businesses started. I love all of that. So that's kind of a side thing. So for me personally, I wanted to do the business when I knew I was going to start using the product, but you don't have to do that. So a couple years ago, there's so many parts to this because God has really woven the story in such an amazing way and so detailed. A couple years ago, I was in college, with getting a psych degree in counseling, I was working a few different jobs. I personally loved retail. I loved it. I loved helping people in customer service, and I was working in a store called The Body Shop. It's body care products, facial skincare, all those sorts of things, and I just enjoyed it. First of all, I loved not folding clothes all the time because I had that job at many times. But I just loved the ease of it. I loved helping people and then them coming back and feeling good about their skin, feeling good about what ingredients seemed to be pure, which they were not pure. They're not pure. They have a lot of fragrance in them. So get Young Living, not Body Shop. But I didn't know that at the time. I knew they were better than what I had been using, and that was true. They were a lot more conscious than what I had been using. So I felt really good. That was like the best version of, where I had been with knowledge. So anyway, I loved this job, and I was also working photography on the side, and I was in college, but I was also interning and then starting to work at my career job. This was my goal job. I was working for an organization who, nonprofit, they dealt with helping women find freedom in the journey with sex trafficking, eating disorders, sexual abuse of all kinds, self-esteem, cutting, like all kinds of issues. And I loved that job. I still love that place. A few of my goals and dreams is to fund homes like that because I absolutely love Mercy. It's called Mercy Multiplied. If you need anything like that, is life-changing. Okay, so anyway, I'm doing all these things, and then I'm still working at The Body Shop, and at some point they switched managers, and the manager was basically trying to force me to either resign or increase my hours, and I could not. It was not my goal job to stay at The Body Shop or stay working at a mall. I was at my limit. I could not do it all. I knew that I needed to invest. Where I was going was investing more time in my the job I was, interning for and getting a degree for. I just knew it wasn't going to be there. So previously, the Body Shop had done independent distributors, basically like what I'm doing, but it was connected to the home store. And I was always kind of curious about that, but they had quit that option. They took away that option right when I started working there. So obviously I was like not really doing it. It wasn't even an option. But I remember the thought process of sitting in my car. I was crying after I resigned because I loved that job. I worked there for 4 years. I was good at it. I loved helping people. I loved the products. I loved everything about it. Of course, I didn't know how the story would go. I let it go. I released it and all that because I knew that wasn't where I was staying. But I love how God brought that around. So, because I sat in my car and I was crying and I was thinking like, oh, if only I could do this independently. If only I could do this as a distributor and have my own home business. Hello. I still remember that very, very clearly. So anyways, I resigned, don't work there anymore at this time. Then I go forward with my career job. And it was, I think even maybe a year later, I'm horrible at timelines. I started connecting again with a friend. I've known her. This is not just from social media, who I signed up with, but she has been a very close connection to Dana and I together. And I just really enjoyed her, trusted her character. She was highlighted to me in life. Like there was something really special about her. So anyway, so she starts messaging me, connecting with me, building relationship again, because she had been off social media, had moved away. Dana and I were actually going to move away to do ministry with them. We just didn't have peace about the decision, but loved them and stayed in contact. So she was talking to me with relationship, relationally communicating with me, but then oils came up and I would see her post and she mentioned doing the business with her. So side note, she didn't know all of the other pieces. She didn't know that at this time, at this season of my life, like I felt so much mental capacity open up. I was craving something else. I remember sitting on the ground. I was sitting by the couch. I don't know what was on the ground, but I was sitting on the ground, I think with all these books by me because I love being spread out when I work. And I was planning my posts for my photography. I was then looking at other ways to help other businesses with photography and Instagrams. And I just loved business and I had a craving for something, but I wasn't going to I wasn't going to go to school for it. I knew that. So, so during this time, I'm like, I just feel it. I feel like this question mark, but this open space, like reserved for something. So she brought up oils and doing the business and just kind of spoke out some things that really hit me, like what I'm good at or how she could see this working for me. But I told her no 3 times. And then I just was rolling it around in my mind because when I commit fully. So I knew that, okay, what does this look like? I need to know everything that I'm committing to before I commit because I will be a lifer. Literally, I don't think I've ever resigned a job unless they've burned down or had no more funds to pay me when I was a voice coach for little girls. They had no more funds. They were paying me cash when they were paying me and then no longer could do it. So it was like perfect timing of thank you, Lord. Like I don't have to quit. I don't quit on relationships. I am loyal until he says it's done. And so she had been talking to me about it, answering a million of my questions because like I said, I need to know every single detail of what I'm committing to. And she was handling my questions so with so much grace. And I was talking to my husband. We were married at the time. We weren't married in school and when I was in school, but we were married at this time. And not that that's important, but we were talking about it and he's like, okay, he knows when I talk about something and I feel strongly about something that it's moving forward, unless he had big hangups. So he goes, wait, let me research about this before we get into it. So he did a ton of research about company, oils, everything, and was like, this is fascinating. I remember hearing him when he was reading, he's like, this is incredible. Like this, the science of it is brilliant and really, really interesting. So he was like all on board once he knew that it was legit and knew that I knew that I knew. And so I had never used oils before. You guys, this is not typically my character, my personality. I shouldn't say character, my personality. But when God makes it clear, I know that I know that I know, and I'm going to trust it. This might not be your process. This might not be your journey, but this was mine. And I love common sense. I love information, but if God is moving, that trumps everything. That is more important to me and speaks louder and speaks to my spirit way stronger than any bit of information. The information always follows his leading. So, but I also knew that I had a husband who was going to look out for my knowing and do research. And once he did research and we talked about it and looked at it together, I was all in and he was all in support. So, and from then on, it has been absolutely incredible. I knew nothing. You guys, I literally knew nothing except for what we researched, what Dane found, and what I asked a million questions about Abby. And side note, she is was my husband's youth pastor's wife. So it's been years of knowing her. This wasn't just some random person like I mentioned, but there have been so many details of this story. I started to get vision of, wow, if I look at my patterns or my emotional tendencies, or look at Dane's family's history, like they have autoimmune issues. And I just look at like, oh, if I could have something tangible. This was before I started I was waiting for my kit at this time. I was like, I know I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all the way. I feel very strongly that I'm supposed to have and want to have and desire to have and see the fruit from having tools on hand that can help my kids' brain, help them, their emotions, have something tangible that God has given us that's plants. There's nothing in them that is synthetic. They're incredible. And so seriously life-changing, as cliche and corny as it sounds, cheesy as it sounds, it has completely transformed our life and helped me with, I had no idea how, I thought, okay, so my kids can benefit from emotional support. I had no idea how much I would benefit. Anger, I didn't know I had locked in my body. So many things. I use release for anger. And a lot of anxiety I was feeling was stored, like anger and anxiety were like hand in hand. And so I just have seen so much benefit to it in a million ways. We've replaced everything. We we use oils all the time. So anyways, that's beside the point. So I didn't know this until I was getting vision of it, but I hadn't actually lived it out yet. So it was really exciting and really fun to start to really see kind of what God had put in my mind, almost like an aerial view of like where it's going to go. And if anyone in my family needs these things, and I am the connector, I'm the bridge. This was not about selling. This was not about, I love business, but it wasn't like when my family would need something, it wouldn't matter whether I was making money or not. I want to be the connector. And I knew if I was going to learn about it, I was going to want to share about it, and people were going to want their own things. So on every level, this business is incredible because of so many reasons. But as far as the lifestyle, one part actually I forgot to mention. Oh man, if you're already in 14 minutes in, hold on, there's a little bit more. Okay, so health-wise, around the same time, again, Abby, who I signed up with, had no idea that my husband and I were on the journey to purify our home, ourselves, our body, our mind, everything that we could control. So we started looking, it just kind of dropped in my mind and his mind of like, oh my gosh, if I get pregnant pretty soon here or whenever, we have all these things that you naturally start to question, you naturally start to research. Why not do it now? Switch out all the cleaners, the chemicals, and then you like, it's this snowball effect of information, but then freedom of, okay, so get rid of the cleaners. What are we going to use? Just starting to research all these things. At the same time, Dane was getting headaches from the candles I was burning. No wonder, it's like secondhand smoke. Then he hated every laundry detergent I'd try. He was really picky on his sense of smell is super keen. So I was aware of all these things that, you know, if they bothered him, I wanted to change them. And so in researching, essential oils would come up, like natural options. Then my cat got sick, and I was just naturally thinking of natural options. And so all these things, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was literally the same time while I was saying no to Abby, and then all of it came together, because I just knew if I'm gonna prepare myself and my body for a baby, what areas of my home and my atmosphere and what areas am I gonna need different support in, why not get them now? I love to get ahead. So anyways, there are a lot of details to that, but I've already talked a long time. So that's a lot of my journey, my process. I don't have some big one testimony. I have a ton of little testimonies, but vision was first. Vision, and then testimonies followed, because I knew this was something I was supposed to do. I had the mental capacity for it. I made time for it. I made budget for it. And it's been incredible in both, whatever you land in the category, whether it's business or products, it's amazing. So anyways, if you have any questions, as always, I always say that because I always mean it, please reach out. I would be happy to help you in whatever capacity, whatever area you might need. I love this job and I love helping people.